Nebraska's 2026 roster is in deep trouble. The transfer portal is getting here very quickly, and there have been multiple rumors over these past couple days, over these past couple weeks, that multiple Huskers are expected to leave Nebraska after the season, whether it's through the NFL draft, the portal, or just leaving completely. So let's talk about it. What players are going to leave Nebraska? What are some huge positions of need going into next year? We'll talk about the running back room, the secondary, the whole defense, a potential quarterback shakeup. What do we need to go after in the transfer portal? Some young stars who I think could be on their way out, and everything else you need to know. So really quick, this is a big time video talking about the future of Nebraska football and our roster going into next year. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for daily content talking Huskers? It's no brainer. It takes 2 seconds. Join the family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Nebraska's 2026 roster is in deep trouble. Now, right off the bat, I want to address a couple misconceptions. There's been a narrative within these past couple weeks, within these past couple months, that Nebraska has the youngest roster in the Big Ten. And that just automatically means that Nebraska has a bright future in 26 and 27 and 28. And that this is a great thing, that all these players are going to continue to get better, that we have a great foundation, and we're going to be just fine. And there's a reason, because of that, that our 26 class is lacking, because we just don't have room for some more high school recruits. Now, the reason why this is a misconception, and the reason why people say, well, we have such a great foundation, you're not wrong, right? We do have the youngest team in the Big Ten. However, that's not a good thing. Okay, that used to be a good thing a couple years ago. They used to be a good thing 20 years ago, 30 years ago when the transfer portal didn't exist. But nowadays, even if you have a young, promising player, he might not be here next year, because we know in modern day college football, things happen. With the portal, with tampering, with NIL. So even if, I don't want to name names just yet, but let's say we have a super talented young wide receiver, right? And you're offering him a lot of NIL money. You've made it very clear that, hey, you might start going next year. He still might leave because of these outside factors, these outside pressures. So having a young roster is never good in college football, because now more than ever, it's easier to be old, because you can just get old players in the portal as well. The best teams in America are old. Okay, Ohio State is old every year. You never see Ohio State having a super young team. Okay, they might have a couple young stars here and there, like, a Jeremiah Smith, but the core of their team is always old, because they just fill in every single year at the portal and get these old veterans. So Nebraska being young this year is only good if we retain our talent. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the future of this roster, some huge positions need going into next year, some positions specifically who I think are going to be rated in the transfer portal. And I told you guys over these past couple weeks, there is one position that I think is going to be completely brand new next year. That is Nebraska's secondary. Now, of course, right now we have the best secondary in America according to almost every single statistic. We have the best pass defense, not only in the Big Ten, but literally in the country. And that's thanks to guys like Sierra Wright, Deshaun Singleton, and Andrew Marshall in there. However, pretty much none of those players are going to be back next season. And not only are the starters not going to be back, a lot of these depth pieces who are talented probably won't be back either. Now, of course, we know that Sierra Wright, final year of eligibility, he'll go to the NFL. Same deal with Deshaun Singleton, same deal with Marquez Buford. So those guys are gone, no questions asked. We know that Andrew Marshall, he has 1 year of eligibility remaining, but he's going to get a lot of interest in the portal. There are going to be teams who tamper with him because he has high potential and he's getting better as this year progresses. So Nebraska, they have to be willing to pay him a little bit more in NIL to make sure he's here, to retain him. We know that, Malcolm Hart's like, he's coming back. That's cool. That's 100%. He's not going to enter the portal. But again, you're going to have at the very minimum 3 or 4 brand new stars in the secondary. Not only that, but a lot of the young pieces who we're banking on coming back, whether it's a Jeremiah Charles, whether it's, a Justin Rhett, a Larry Tarver, an Amari Sanders, a Kamir Prescott, even like a Donovan Jones. Who says all those guys are back next year? Because we know the transfer portal is incredibly shocking. I will tell you right now, I expect at least 2 of the guys I just mentioned to leave. At least two. There's a couple of guys in there who are from Florida who honestly I think probably should have got more playing time within their career so far with Nebraska. They might feel some sort of way. They might feel disrespected. And it also should be noted with the secondary, why I believe it's going to be incredibly different next season. We have a brand new DB coach who I think is doing a really good job at Addison Williams, but none of these guys were recruited by Addison Williams. Okay, they were pretty much all of them were recruited by Evan Cooper. So none of these guys are even recruited by John Butler either. So who says they really have a great relationship with these new coaches on the defense? I don't know. That's just speculation, but I know there's so much talent in the DB room, a lot of young talent. A lot of these guys aren't playing this year. They might not play next year. There's a lot of speculation. A lot of them will leave. And then also the guys who are playing will not be here anyways because they're going to graduate or they're going to enter the portal. So that's why I think, honestly, the secondary, we're probably going to go after, at the very minimum, 3 transfers there. At the very minimum, if not 4. We're going to be incredibly aggressive. And John Butler, he's a secondary guy through and through. Addison Williams is a secondary guy through and through. The whole defense is oriented around the secondary and its success. So if you have a bad secondary, you have one of the worst defenses in America. So if the secondary doesn't crumble, you better believe they're going to be aggressive. And a lot of our money, a lot of our NIL, it's going to go to that position. Then I want to talk about the defensive line because that's also a huge issue. I mean, it's an issue this year, but it's going to be an issue next year. Now, Elijah Judy is the only player who's going to leave, of course, to graduation. Cameron Lenhart has 1 year of eligibility left. I wouldn't be shocked if Cameron Lenhart left. There were a lot of rumors last year that he was going to leave, of course, when Terrence Knight went over to Florida State. It didn't end up happening, but I do expect a lot of players to leave in the transfer portal. So again, that's going to be the way with every position. That's college football nowadays. Even if there's a young, promising player who you think, oh, he might come play next year, he might not be here because, again, that's the sport. So, again, Cameron Lenhart, that's somebody who I have my eyes out for, right? Again, Winera, you better believe, is going to get paid a lot of money to potentially go elsewhere with his upside. I do believe Winera is going to stay, though. A couple other pieces, right? I mean, Van Poppel, is he really going to start here next year? I don't know. So he might be thinking about going elsewhere. So, again, the whole defensive line, it's going to have a makeover. Now, I'm not too mad if a lot of these players leave because they have not played very well anyways, but just know, Nebraska, they're prepared to spend a lot of money when it comes to that unit. As for the linebacker room, again, that's something that's not being talked about. We lose 3 really good players. And Deshaun McCullough, Marcus Washington, Trent Buda Wright, it should be mentioned that Willis McGahee is being redshirted by Nebraska, and there have been a lot of rumors that he's going to enter the portal because he's a kid coming from Florida. He was not happy about being redshirted at all. It kind of reminds me a lot of a Prince Wally Mamielon situation from last year where Prince Wally Mamielon, he should have played a lot more than what he was actually, on the field for, and then he was mad about it at the end of the year and entered the portal, and now guess what? He's one of the best players in America at Ole Miss. So Willis McGahee is somebody who you just have to, say, you know what? You got to stick with the plan. It's not in your best interest to go elsewhere. You got to stay here, and you're going to be one of our guys going next year. But that's somebody I definitely have my eyes out for, right? So the linebackers won't be, from a transfer standpoint, I don't think it's going to be rated. But we have a lot of seniors who are leaving who have played some really good snaps here. As for the offense, let's just talk about the quarterback position because I told you guys this, when TJ Lateef started for the first time. While I'm incredibly excited to see TJ, why I think he can ball, why I think it's definitely a possibility that he could be better than Dylan. What hurts about TJ playing right now is now the odds of both TJ and Dylan being here next year are tremendously and incredibly low. Okay, one of these guys might leave. That's just the way it goes. Again, this is college football. The unexpected happens on a regular basis. So it's either TJ Lateef balls out. He's not guaranteed the quarterback job next year. It's going to be a quarterback battle. He might say, you know what? I'm going to go to UCLA. I'm going to go to USC. I'm going to get paid, however many $1 million and be the guy there. And I don't blame him if that were the outcome. Or, he might ball out in Matt Rhule because of Matt Rhule's inherent bias to Dylan. Matt Rhule might not even entertain a quarterback battle, and it might rub TJ the wrong way. But that's only if TJ balls out. If TJ does not play very well, there also is a chance TJ might leave because TJ might say, no, I'm not going to play here for a couple years. Now, on the flip side, if TJ, let's say, goes 4-0, or let's say, goes 3-1 even, and there's a real quarterback battle, Dylan might say, you know what, I'm being offered $4 million to transfer to Miami. I'm getting paid $5 million to transfer to Florida State. I'm going to take that and be the guy there and not have to go through this quarterback battle because, Dylan has an ego. All these quarterbacks have an ego. And Dylan knows in the back of his mind, if, God forbid, he were to lose the quarterback battle to TJ, his career would be doomed. His career would be over. That would ruin his career, really would, on the spot. So, who says he really wants to go through a real quarterback battle? Again, that's all speculation, but I think right now, regardless of the outcome this season with TJ, the odds that both these guys are here next year are low. So that's that's obviously a conversation for in December. It's a conversation for January. Matt Rhule, he's got to be masterful here. You got to offer TJ a lot of money to stay. Same deal, Dylan. Understand, hey, there's a plan here, and let's roll with whatever happens. Have a real quarterback battle. But I'll tell you, the very minimum, we need a quarterback battle. We can't just sit here and give Dylan a job because we're fearing that he might leave. That shouldn't. That you cannot run your program based on fear and fear alone, because the good coaches don't do that at all. As for the running backs, I don't really anticipate any transfers here. I think Quinn Ives could leave. He's just not going to play here at all. He's not playing here this year, so he'll probably leave. But other than that, I think it'll be pretty much status quo. Emmett Johnson obviously will go to the NFL, so Nebraska will take probably, I'd say, one running back here. I'd say at least one running back in the portal. Wide receivers, we could see some shakeups happen here. Isaiah Hunter is somebody who I know people are going to tamp with him. I know that for a fact. Some big-time squads are going to want Nyziah Hunter with what he's done this year, and he's also getting paid the least when you compare his paychecks to Dane Key and Jacory Barney, and yet he's outplaying all of them every single week. So Nyziah Hunter, you got to up his pay. You got to pay him more than Jacory. That's a fact, because he's played better than Jacory. He's going to feel slighted if he's getting paid less. Demitrius Bell's somebody who there have been rumors he might enter the portal. I don't think it's going to happen. At this point, he's been injured his entire career. If he's going to enter the portal, he's not going to go anywhere. He's not going to go anywhere good. So might as well stay with Nebraska and potentially start going next year, if he's fully healthy for the first time in a long time. And then, Jeremiah Jones is somebody who I'm kind of nervous about leaving because, he committed to Nebraska last second. He signed to Nebraska last second based on NIL. He was going to go to Missouri, but Nebraska literally doubled his NIL on sign day because, we wanted him that badly. So who says that, Missouri comes calling again? They might, or some other team. Jeremiah Jones has super high upside. We just haven't seen it this year because he's a freshman, but hopefully we can keep him here. And then as for the offensive line, we saved the best for last, but the offensive line literally loses everybody. It's going to be a makeover. Okay, Turner gone, Henry gone, Teddy gone, Rocco gone. I think there's a real possibility Justin Evans could leave, maybe to the draft, maybe. That's a possibility. So pretty much the only productive players you're returning are Tyler Knack, who he honestly might enter the portal because I don't think Tyler Knack's going to start here next year. And who says he really wants to spend his final year of eligibility on the bench? Even though he loves Nebraska, why would he want that? I don't know. Elijah Bridges is going to be here next year. Gunner's going to be here next year. But other than that, it's a brand new lineup, right? And there might be some young guys who leave here too. So I do expect Nebraska to take probably three or four offensive linemen in the portal at the very minimum, and they're going to pay some big time money. So just expect, I think Elijah is definitely going to be a star next year. Justin Evans, if he stays, will be a star next year. And other than that, it will probably be a brand new unit all besides them. So moral of the story, man, this roster is going to shake up a lot over these next couple weeks, over these next couple months. That's just sport. I know I'm going to get comments who say, Wilson, you're being so negative. How can you talk about maybe a player leaving? Well, first off, it's all speculation. Second off, again, this is the sport nowadays. If you're not going to adjust, if you're not going to realize that players might leave, you're living in naive land. Okay, you're living under a rock. So we need to discuss, what the future of the roster is going to look like, what players might leave, what players, what positions might be rated. We have to be ready for this when it inevitably happens. So we know that there are going to be some young pieces who are good, who might leave, who are surprises, right? There might be a player who you really like, who's a second-year player, first-year player, and he might leave because, again, pay a lot more elsewhere. He just doesn't like Nebraska maybe as much as the other guys. That might happen. So you have to be prepared for that outcome. It is what it is. But I just know this Nebraska's 2026 roster, the portal's going to giveth, it's going to take it away. So you got to address that through the portal, get some guys back here, and make a run in 2026. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about everything. What positions do you want to go after in the portal? Let me know down below. Hey, if you made this far, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go be great, go Met Roll, and I'll see you in the next one.